Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden. This is Langley Outdoors Academy, the place where we not only talk about what's going on in the gun world, but also how we're going to fix it together. And this last piece, fixing it together, is what we're going to talk about today. Because the content that we're going to dive into is McCarthy, the Speaker of the House on the GOP side, is attending and supporting a fundraiser for Brian Fitzpatrick. That name might sound familiar to some of you because he's one of the only Republicans, one of two, that voted for the assault weapons ban of 2022. Oh, there's so much to talk about. Everything's going to be linked in the description box below, and I cannot wait to hear for your thoughts on this one. And if you are new or you're a returning viewer, please consider hitting that like button, subscribing to the channel, and making sure that notification bell is on. We need as many people as we can to get into the fold with us to pass the blessing of the Second Amendment along to the next generation. Thank you so much in advance for your consideration. And today's content is brought to you by BattleCat Co. Now, BattleCat Co. is a Virginia-based merch brand. They are all about creating lifestyle for the warrior class. The warrior, just like you and I out there pushing the Second Amendment every single day. They support the concept of being an asset to our country, communities, friends, and families. Through lifestyle gear aimed at training and spreading the message of the 2A, BattleCat Co. is gear that makes a statement for your next day at the range or your everyday warrior wear. My personal favorite is the shirt that I'm wearing right now, Creepin' While They Sleepin'. Thank you so much to BattleCat Co., and there's a link in the description box if you are looking for some more gear. But my brothers and sisters, we've got to hit this situation with Brian Fitzpatrick. Now, just to remind you a little bit, Brian Fitzpatrick is not only the Republican, the only one left in the GOP caucus that said, hey, you know what, an assault weapons ban is perfectly fine, I'll vote for it, Pelosi last year. That's H.R. 1808. He's also the guy who continually puts forward from the Republican side gun control measures, waiting periods, mag bans, all sorts of good things. This guy is not a friend of the 2A, but that's not the problem, other than the obvious fact that he's in the GOP part, that whole thing. But McCarthy, the leader of the GOP, is putting together a fundraiser for him. What kind of message does that send, particularly since he got to maintain his committee's appointments after he voted for H.R. 1808, the assault weapons ban of 2022, last year? Let's get it. McCarthy pressured by firearms groups to cancel fundraiser for anti-gun Republican. That's exactly how I would frame Brian Fitzpatrick from Pennsylvania. He is an anti-gun Republican. He works on something called the Common Sense Caucus, of which common sense to him is infringing upon the Second Amendment rights with Democrats. Let's keep on going. I really am not a fan of this guy. A Second Amendment advocacy group calling on House Speaker Kevin McCarthy to cancel his financial support of Representative Brian Fitzpatrick, arguing the Republican leader shouldn't be fueling money to lawmakers who have backed anti-gun legislation. This is the part where I want to hear from you guys. In the comments field down there, do you agree with that statement? Should McCarthy back off any type of funding? You could always call McCarthy's office and tell him to. Because this is the problem. While Democrats on the left side of the aisle, every single one of them, this complete homogeny is demanded. Unanimity in thought. Every single thing. You have to toe the company line. You aren't going to get committee placements. You're not going to get funding. You're not going to get support. You're going to be ousted in the next session. Republican side of the aisle? Yeah, we know you had that whole voting for the assault weapons ban of 1808 thing, but I like to encourage unique and diversity of opinions on the Republican side of the aisle. Anyone else kind of tired of this? Let's continue. Fitzpatrick was one of 5 Republicans to break with a majority of the GOP in June to vote with Democrats to approve gun control legislation that cracked down on the sale of semi-automatic firearms for people under 21 and established stricter regulatory frameworks. So he also did the ghost gun voting legislation. He also did the Senate bipartisan gun control. That's good. This guy really doesn't make me happy, but let's continue. Meanwhile, the 5.5 million member National Rifle Association released a statement upholding its support of House GOP leadership in light of the accusations that McCarthy is not doing enough for the Second Amendment. Well, to McCarthy's credit, he has not brought forward any type of gun control legislation, but he is putting together fundraisers for people in the GOP who voted against your Second Amendment rights. This is a problem. This is not an area of gray. This is a problem. Quote, the House Republican leadership has made it clear that protecting the Second Amendment is a pillar of their agenda, an NRA spokeswoman told the Washington Examiner. We are confident in their governance not only by the commitments they have made, but also by looking at the records over the last 4 years. Now, they're talking about McCarthy, the leadership. But McCarthy is supporting Fitzpatrick, who literally supported the assault weapons ban of 2018 from Pelosi. He's the only reason to even pass the House. Him and one other guy who got ousted and his run for Congress got basically withdrawn. Just saying. And one last thing. Listen to this. Fitzpatrick, the co-chairman of the Problem Solvers Caucus, not Common Sense Caucus, Problem Solvers Caucus, and a leading GOP centrist, has made himself a crucial figure in the narrow House GOP majority, namely for his undying support for McCarthy during the historic vote that ultimately took 15 attempts for the California Republican to secure the speakership. What do you bet that might have a little bit to do with it? Maybe it's not about supporting the GOP. Maybe it's not about supporting the Second Amendment. Maybe it's just tit for tat because you gave me the speakership. I'm going to give you funding for your own campaigns in about a year and a half. Woo, politics is dirty, isn't it? Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I will see you in the next one. I'm Braden. See you later.